Noon mushaddad the fatha. So we break it out. Essentially, keep the hamza underneath the alif with kasra, so that's obviously an E sound. And then we break the noon into two noons. First one being sakin, and the second one being the noon with the fatha, because we had a fatha on the shadda. So that effectively breaks down into in, and then we have na. Okay. However, we are going to do this gemination, which means we've got to effectively merge the two noons together and hold it for a little bit. So we're going to pronounce this as inna. So essentially, you pronounce the first noon sakin, and then the sound of the second noon comes directly out without taking a pause or breaking the sound. So it'll be inna. Okay. Now, in terms of the length, any letter which is mushaddad, i.e. it's carrying a shadda, you will always hold it in tajweed for too long. Okay, so we say inna. There are some further rules later on which might lengthen it a bit, but that will be covered later. So the basic rule is it's always going to be too long. The idea here is you must be able to recognize there's a shadda when you hear somebody pronouncing. So if they go inna, there's no shadda. If you say inna, we know there's a shadda taking place, i.e. gemination. And for this example, you could try saying it in English. An example would be just very quickly saying in Nigeria. In Nigeria. It's the same concept. It's gemination taking place across one letter. Now, the next tricky bit is how to join two shadda. So, the mushaddad letter must join to a previous sound, either in the same word or from a previous word. So what do we mean by that? So if you were to take the noon with shadda, i.e. the noon mushaddad here with the fatha, you cannot pronounce that on its own. You cannot just say na, because the first noon sakin in the noon mushaddad must be joined to something. So there will always be a sound before the shadda. So in this case, the sound before it is the E. That's why we say inna. And inna is one word. So effectively, you're joining the E sound to the shadda in one word. Now, what happens if the letter which is carrying the shadda is the first letter in a word? Okay, so we've got two words here. The first one is min, and the second one is rizqi. Okay, now unfortunately you need to know grammar to recognize this. If you don't know any grammar, you could think this is one word, but it's not. So now the question is, how do we join the sound of min to rizqi? Essentially, to make it very simple, all you have to do is this. You look at the letter with the shadda and you say, I'm going to go back until I find a letter which has its own sound. So if we go back, the noon in the min is actually sakin, even though they haven't drawn the sukoon here. So the letter before it is mim, and it has its own sound, mi. So join the mi sound, so if we just break this down, the mi sound to the first ra in the ra mushaddad. So remember, we break the ra into two ras, one with sakin, one with sukoon, so making it sakin, and the second one with whatever the short vowel is on the shadda. So we have one ra which is sakin, one ra which is with kasra, and we join the sound before to the first ra which is sakin. So we just have mir, and then the second one has its own sound, ri. So we would actually read this as mir rizqi. Okay, and again, if you do it with tajweed, you have to hold it for too long. So we say mir rizqi. You must recognize there's a hold there. Now, later on we're going to learn that this is called in English assimilation. We're assimilating two sounds together, okay, across two words, two word boundaries. So essentially in Arabic that's called idgham, and you'll cover this in the later lessons under the Tajweed stage. Okay, for now all we need to do is know how to read the shaddas and how to join them. So again, look at the letter with shadda, find the previous letter which had a sound anywhere before, i.e. the first letter before, which has its own sound. Join that sound to the first sakin letter that makes up the mushaddad letter. So some examples then, and these are just a few simple examples. The first one we have is illa. Again, you have to hold it for two. Illa. The second one is karra. Karra. The third one is nazzala. Nazzala. The fourth one, so starting on the bottom line, is mukibban. Mukibban. Then we have wa a sirru. Sirru. And then we have fakadhabana. Fakadhabana. So again, in all cases you must do the gemination, i.e. you must not break the sound of the mushaddad letter, and you must try and hold it for too long. And again, in the Tajweed stage there's some very special rules about certain letters and how you pronounce them when they have the shadda on them, but that will be covered later. So in conclusion, we know what gemination is, i.e. we covered it in the English language, and we now know that the shadda in Arabic represents this concept. We know it can happen in the same word or across words in Arabic, and we know that there is this term called idgham, which is assimilation using shadda or using the shadda, and we're going to cover that later on in the Tajweed stage.